One. Hi, I'm Richard Randall, and welcome to Your Real Estate Voice with Barb Schlinker, the owner of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. This is the weekly radio show that informs and educates you on how to buy or sell real estate with Colorado's Real Estate Authority, Barb Schlinker. Barb Schlinker is a retired Navy veteran. Barb's also an author. Barb is a pilot as well, and Barb and her team enjoy all that Colorado and the Front Range have to offer. Barb, always great to be talking with you. Now, we air Your Real Estate Voice every Saturday, and if you can't listen to the entire show, it is always available on Barb's site, barbhasthebuyers.com, or go ahead and search Barb and most popular podcasts like iHeartRadio, all of those platforms. So, Barb, what are we talking about this morning?
Well, Richard, I'm excited as always about today's show because we're getting a lot of people kind of shocked. They're so used to their house going on the market and then boom, it sells pretty quickly, but that's not happening right now. And as a result, people are having to lower their prices, and we're having this downward pressure on home prices right now, and the sellers are getting really frustrated. So I get calls every week. Hey, what do I do? My house is on the market. It's not selling. And I try to help them. Some people I can help. So what we're going to talk about today is how to sell your Colorado home in a down or declining slightly market. It's weird because the national stats are indicating that overall, as compared to a year ago, the prices are higher, which they are. However, we have seasonality. So like during the springtime, the rates were about 6%. And during those times, the prices were going up. So we haven't given back all of our increases, but if you need to sell now, you have to price it what I say, I call it very realistically versus optimistically. And then we're going to talk about what home improvements actually add the most value when you're selling your house in Colorado. And this is a topic that I have to agonize with every time I have a listing go under contract. There's always negotiations, disputes, cat fights over inspections. So we're going to talk about the biggest red flags on a home inspection in your house when you sell a house in Colorado, and kind of how you can prepare for it. So when it is time to sell, you're ready, and there should not be any surprises once you've already committed to a buyer to sell your house. And the last thing, which I get questions about a lot, are a checklist to downsize your house before you sell your home. And I think that information is really good for a lot of people because I have a whole bunch of folks that actually are downsizing, in particular, not just to a smaller home, but like a lot smaller home. So I get questions about, what do I do with this furniture? And where do I sell the furniture? Who wants my furniture? And you'd be surprised on what we're going to talk about. So I'm excited about this topic. Richard?
So, Barb, as mortgage rates go higher, fewer buyers can afford to buy homes. How does a Colorado home seller get their home sold in a market that appears to be correcting in a downward trajectory?
Well, Richard, the last time I saw prices walk back substantially was during the meltdown between probably 2008 all the way through 2011. 2011 in this market actually marked the bottom of prices after that correction. And actually, most real estate agents were not in the business when that took place. I was. So what we're going to talk about is just kind of overall what the market's doing right now. Is it like that meltdown? What are the mortgage rates doing, and how that impacts what we do going forward? How you can get offers on your house even in this market, how you can get a cash offer on your home. And we'll talk about some of our special guarantees, like 100% of market value, or I'll pay you the difference. And what is the best time to buy and sell? So just talking about the market, I looked at the stats, and they're actually not as up to date as I like. I have software that will do it daily, but I'm not getting daily feeds at the moment. I think it will just catch up after the holiday week. But essentially what we're seeing is in the last 5 months, the median price has dropped about $30,000. That's a lot of money for most people. So if you are looking back on historic sales going, oh, that one back there sold for this number, so therefore people should be willing to pay that, it's just not working. And that's why we're seeing more and more home sellers, almost half of them have to lower their prices, and the average days on market continues to climb. We went from an average of 84 days on the market up to 89 days on the market. And there are more people lowering their price than there are people actually selling their home. Another huge factor in this are the mortgage rates. So um, most buyers buy on house payment. And if they can't afford the payment, they're not going to buy a house. Plus, if the rent is less than their payment would be, they're not going to buy a house, especially the first-time home buyers. People that are moving up that have a down payment, they're really less affected by this, but the first-time home buyers kind of have a trickle up effect on the rest of the market. And so it's important to consider this. At this time, the rates did come down from last week, just a little bit below 7. Now we're at 6.93% for a 30-year fixed. VA is about 6.25%. And again, these fluctuate daily, hourly during the week. So it'll be different by the time you probably the next show for sure. So what you need to know about that is if you see the conventional fixed rates of a 30-year mortgage drop down into the low sixes, we just saw right before the election that the number of pending sales kicked up. Now, I wish all these agents would educate the buyers that most of these lenders are offering deals out there like, hey, you can get 1% off your mortgage for the first year if you work with us. Our lenders are offering that deal, which is a fantastic deal. It gets buyers in the door so they can afford the payment for the first year and then make changes as they move forward. So those deals are out there. I would suggest to a buyer, while we have higher inventory right now, if you see the right home, don't wait. Work with a lender, shop for a lender to try and get the best deal because they are out there. And, how do you get offers even in this market? Well, the way you do it is not by pricing. It's all about pricing it right and having it marketed the right way. And it's interesting when I talk to home sellers about what their home is worth, I would say probably 2/3 of them say, well, I looked at Zillow and Zillow said my house is worth X. I don't know if it's right or not. Or some people say, well, the tax assessor says my home is worth X. Therefore, that's what I'm expecting. And that is not a good strategy. Hang on a second. Okay. Sorry. When people call into the office line, um, it makes a noise. So I just killed that buzzer. Okay. All right. Where was I? All right. So let's talk about the different kinds of value. There is the automated value. That would be Zillow, Realtor.com. They're called automated valuation models. And in general, they average everything around you, but they don't know your improvements. They don't know if you have views, which add value. They don't know necessarily if you have a 3-car versus a 2-car, or if you finish the basement or not sometimes. So those valuations, oftentimes, I'd say at least half the time, are actually wrong. And then what about an appraised value? That is a professional person coming in, giving you an opinion of value about your home. Now, what they're looking at solely by their license, they are required to only look at historic sales. So if you're in a period where the prices are correcting, they're going to be behind the game right out of the gate because they're looking at historic sales that sold for probably more a few months ago, and they're telling you this is what your home is worth right now. It also depends on what the purpose of the appraisal is. If the appraisal is to get cash out, they're not so strict. So sometimes they will, help you get the value that you need, picking the best comps, even though they may not be 100% accurate. So if you're pricing your home to an appraisal that happened in the last year or two, even, it may be too high, it may be wrong. The assessed value is what the tax man says what your home is worth. And that is absolutely by law based on its value 2 years ago. Well, 2.5 years ago right now is, and that's the assessments that we're working off of currently. That is when the market values peaked, and that was before the Fed started raising the interest rates. So if you remember, during that time, people were bidding on homes, multiple offers on everything, going way over asking price. So the tax man took the opportunity to use those valuations to affix property taxes to your home. And so that is probably not the current market value, because the prices have corrected a little bit since then for sure. And then the market, excuse me. Oh, God. And then the last value is the market value. The market value is actually what a buyer will pay for your home. So if you're getting reasonable offers, that's a market value. Okay. It gives you a really good idea what a buyer will pay. And we can help you do that. And pricing a home correctly is a science. It takes somebody with experience, expertise, market knowledge, and I know that every seller wants the most money, right? And so the traditional philosophy is, hey, why don't we just price this home high for negotiating room? But that is absolutely a mistake, because the buyers have all this data available to them. They can look at Zillow. If you bring a home up on a map on Zillow, it's going to give you its opinion of value of all the homes around you. So they'll be able to see immediately if they think your house is overpriced, and they won't even pick it to go look at it. So it's really, really important to price it right. And we can help you do that for sure. So if you are thinking of making a move, it's critical that you get what I call those 4 Ps right: preparation, pricing, picking the right agent, and making sure that agent promotes your home properly. So give us a call, 719-301-3900, or go to barbhasthebuyers.com. And we can help you do that. My name is Barb Schlinker, the broker owner of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. Barb Has the Buyers is my website. And I'm also the host of this show, Your Real Estate Voice. So we're talking about how do you sell a home in a market that's correcting, and what you can do when it is doing that. And that's what we're going to talk about when we come back. Richard?
So I'm going to hit pause for a second, because we're at 12:38 on my clock, and we're on page 8. It looks like here. We jumped a little bit, but we're at page 8. So what do you think, David? Is there time to go ahead and do a little bit more, edit it down, and then do the regular ending? Or should we? I'm not quite sure how we should handle this, Barb.
Don't worry, I will speed through this.
You always do. Okay, then I'll just read this thing here, and we'll go from there.
Yeah.
And honestly, I never worry. That's the last thing on my mind. As I say, we've been in this situation before, and it always worked out. So I just wasn't sure exactly how we're going to do it.
Yeah, I'll just touch on it and have them call me.
You
Okay.
got it. There you are. I'll count us down. 3, 2, 1. Barb, we're talking about whether or not it's harder to sell in the winter versus spring or summer months. How do home sellers know that their home will sell in the winter months and in this changing market environment?
Well, it's really important they pick the right agent that knows the market. That's key right there. I would say a majority of the agents do what I call post and hope. They post the home for sale and hope somebody has a buyer. The buyers really have a nose like a bloodhound for finding the best deals. And so If you're a buyer, don't wait to buy if you see a home out there that you like, because we can negotiate on interest rates and even closing costs and stuff like that. And if you're a seller, what you need to do is what I always recommend, which is price it what I call realistically versus optimistically. And if you don't do that and you slowly walk the price down, like a majority of sellers are doing right now, they're going to net less money. I helped a home seller fix his problem. He hired an agent that wasn't selling his house. He switched over to me and I got it done at full price in just 9 days. So we can help you price it realistically versus optimistically. And the market's going to tell us immediately if we're off target. So give us a call at 719-301-3900 or go to barbhasthebuyers.com. Richard?
You're listening to Your Real Estate Voice with Barb Schlinker, host of the program, proprietor and owner of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. And if you are thinking of making a move, call Barb at 719-301-3900 or visit barbhasthebuyers.com. Short break. When we come back, we're going to be discussing which home improvements actually increase a home's value. Don't miss that. There you are. Oh my God, you were quick. Yeah, I knew you were quick. I didn't realize until I looked up at the clock. I didn't realize how quick you were. All right, I am going to run to the mention real quick. Hang on. Let's see.
Yeah, and he has some edits in there he's got to do. So sorry. Man, those tiles kind of heated up this room. It's really weird.
Works the same as insulation.
Oh, well, I'm like, oh, gotta shed some clothes here. Take my sweater off.
But you're probably getting the most reflective sound from that window. And that's why I would just just cut a piece of plywood down to the size of that window
Mhm.
and glue the foam to it, then put it up in the windowsill.
Well, there's two of them. There's one in front of me and there's one behind me.
But with every studio, you always get the most reflected sound off of a window.
Okay.
And that's the reason that here at the studio, we actually have angled glass so that it reflects down into we have two panes of glass. One is at an angle in order to reflect it down towards a counter or to the floor.
Okay.
It dampens the most sound, but I mean, most builders won't even do it anymore.
Won't
We
do a window.
won't do a angled window because it's
Oh,
a lot more difficult.
okay.
We did this back in the 90s, so
Yeah. It's amazing how it warmed up this room.
yeah.
Normally I have to
Yeah.
sit here with the heater on. I'm like, yeah.
Yeah, it's gonna thicken those walls and it dampens sound, but it also holds in all your heat.
Oh,
If there is an expert on this subject, I am looking at him.
I've built way too many studios.
so this is a bad
And when it
place
comes
for a
to
studio.
quiet,
Window behind me and window in front of me.
Yeah.
and when it comes to quiet, you want church mouse quiet. You'd have to have somebody who does audio in a church. Ergo, David.
Yeah.
Not
You
kidding on
do.
that either.
Last night,
Last night.
we were working on the Christmas pageant.
And your equipment doing all that is newer, better, and more extensive than anything we have here, correct?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's nice.
We
All
have
right.
the latest Allen and Heath.
so I had this big interview with this guy, George Brockler. He's probably one of the top prosecutors in Colorado. And you have this controversy over Mayor Yemi and whether he lied to the FBI and whether the Department of Justice covered that up. So I had George Brockler on to talk about that. And the short version is, well, if he thinks this is going away, it's probably not, because Trump will have a new attorney general and they will have a new federal prosecutor in Denver or in Colorado, and they can just go ahead and file charges if they'd like at that point. But when I went to edit the audio, this is embarrassing. The editing program I had on my phone was better than at least one of the programs here. It turns out I had the wrong program, but all right.
That's well, that story, people are talking about it. That's for sure. I was at a client's house last night and they were talking about that topic.
You know what? I'm going to send you the little video I put together then. I'm going to tell you why. Because if you listen to, if you read the Gazette, you read the Denver Post, you wouldn't know that it's even happening. If you watch television, with the exception of KRDO, you wouldn't know that it was happening. If you listen to radio in Denver and in Colorado Springs, with the exception of the Richard Randall Show, you wouldn't know that any of this is going on. And why? I mean, he's the first Black mayor of Colorado Springs. So not only is, what's that?
He's not.
I know. First, I should see. I correct people all the time on that. It's Leon Young.
Yeah.
They pretend that he is. In reality, he's the first elected mayor who is Black of Colorado Springs. And so apparently the Department of Justice wanted to protect him. We don't want to file something on the first Black mayor, they didn't say elected, of Colorado Springs. And then apparently, to me, the Gazette and everybody else feels like they have to protect him too. So I'm pretty much it in terms of covering that story. So I'm going to send you the clip from George Brockler, because he nails it. And then when you're talking to people the next time, you can just say, yeah, I'm really tight with Richard Randall. Here, let me show you what he sent.
What I thought was really valuable was that article that actually lists the charges and things. That was much more beneficial than any video that you've
and that, so you'd find that at KRDO, and they had a link over to the actual court documents, which again, it doesn't come down to whether you like this guy or not. It just comes down to pretty clearly he lied to the FBI, and there's no repercussions for it. But the story gets even better. I'll go fast, DJ. So one of the attorneys that we have on the show on Fridays, James T. Cook, he's a former assistant DA. He sent me something that he got from a couple of his clients who are in the jail, because the guy who's involved, the murderer who's involved with this thing with Yemi, he wanted James T. Cook to represent him. James T. Cook did a little bit of research and said, nah, that's not the kind of guy I want to represent me. But then he found out from a couple of other people in jail, there's this like one sheet kind of cartoon thing that is calling out everybody, including Yemi, as to whether they're part of a big conspiracy to attack members of the Black community and all this stuff. And so now I'm wondering if Yemi was just pretty much afraid of this guy. And that's what it came down to. You tell the Department of Justice, guys, look, yes, I said this and this. Do you understand that I'm afraid that this murderer who was doing this stuff is now going to come after me? The story's not over with. That's all I'm saying. And I'll send you a copy of that flyer as well. And I will tell you, do I want to end up as one of the pictures on the flyer because I did something wrong? No, I do not. All right, I got a new clock.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to hang around those people.
Right? I mean, it's just, all right. You good? David's good. I'm good. Barb, you're good. We're all good. Count us down.
Okay.
3, 2, 1. Welcome back to Your Real Estate Voice with Barb Schlinker, the weekly radio show that informs and educates you on how to buy or sell real estate. It does it with Barb Schlinker, the owner of Your Home Sold, Guaranteed Realty, and the host of the program. Now, Barb, most people assume that buyers are willing to pay top dollar for homes, even if they have not been updated What's the truth? What are some home improvements that can help sellers make the most money when they do sell a house?
Well, Richard, the buyers have gotten very picky now because they can. There's more homes on the market. There's more choices for them. Homes are not flying off the shelf like they used to a couple years ago. And so, in general, though, if the home is priced right and you can get the buyer in the door, because keep in mind, your very first showing is on the internet. So, if they don't like what they see on the internet, it doesn't look like the best buy for them. They are not going to be bothered to spend their gas money or leave their fuzzy bunny slippers to come take a look at that house. It's just not going to happen. So, it has to be priced right to begin with, it has to be marketed right to begin with. But sometimes, even like we just had one that we sold where it was cosmetically challenged. I will admit it. It had some things, it had some dramatic paint, sparkle black paint on the cabinets. Somebody that really shouldn't have had a paintbrush in their hands uh, got a hold of that house and made a mess. And the sellers, what that wasn't the seller who was doing the painting. It was a friend while they were away. So they created this mess, and the seller, didn't want to spend too much money to sell it. So we did price it very realistically, well below market value. And they did just the basics just to get it sold. They took care of flooring, any peeling paint, any broken windows, all the basics, so it could get any type of financing. But they did not paint the sparkle black cabinets or correct the paint in the master closet that painted black paint around the shelves so you could see the white mark in between the shelves. No, that didn't get corrected, but the home was priced below market. And to be honest, I was shocked that we didn't get more offers than we did. And the feedback was, oh, it needs too much work. And I'm like, really? Do these agents not know that this home is priced at least 20% below market value? Most people can handle a paintbrush, right? They could just get in there and slap some paint, make it look good, and walk in the door with substantial equity. But honestly, I think there's a lot of people out there that agents in particular that don't really study that, right? They're just kind of overpaid door openers that go, oh, do you like the house? Okay, I'll make an offer, maybe make some commission. That's pretty much what's going on. And if they were good, they would say, hey, this is a really good buy. If you can paint, you're walking in the door with equity. In fact, the brother of that seller bought homes like that during the meltdown that just needed a little bit of cosmetic, but were priced and available at really good deals. So some minor improvements definitely can go a long way and can get you as much as 11%. So it absolutely is worth it to do some updates, but that doesn't mean you have to do a full-on update of the home. Unless you're in the much higher price points, it's not really necessary. And that's part of what we do. We give our sellers a free in-home consultation on what to do and what not to do to get their house ready for sale. So we go over all the closing costs. We show them what we could do to help them get top market dollar when they sell their home, and just give them tips on what not to do. I mean, I heard some crazy ideas from home sellers like, well, should we, put in a tankless water heater? No, the buyers aren't going to pay for that. So it really matters. So when you're updating, you want to update in a very neutral manner. Like, I see a lot of people, especially in this market, that like dramatic paint in their bedrooms or maybe in their living room. They put blues or greens or whatever. I've seen Bronco orange. I've seen the whole thing. But when you sell a home, you don't want this dramatic paint because it is just paint is enough for a buyer to turn their nose up at the house. I had one a couple years back that was kind of the end of the boom in the market. And I had one on the market that was neutral paint, relatively same house. And then my partner had one on the market, similar price point, but it had things like a mauve or pink colored accent wall. It also had a turquoise colored accent wall. So the months go by, they lowered the price, it's still not selling. My partner came to me and said, "What are we doing wrong?" And I said, "It's just paint, just neutralize those walls." So as soon as he did that, boom, it sold for full price. So it's amazing how buyers don't want to do any kind of work like that. So updating with neutral paint is really important. Same with neutral flooring. Something that you could do that's relatively inexpensive is if you have wood paneling, like in a lower family room, like those older 70s homes, if you paint that kind of a creamy white or a bright white, that's actually in style now, as long as it's white. But if it's the dark, kind of walnut or oaky looking color, that actually dates the home. So it just takes a paintbrush to fix these things. The other thing that's a big issue is curb appeal. So buyers will typically, if they like what they see online, the next step for them is they're going to drive by and see if they like what it looks like on the outside, kind of check out what the neighborhood looks like. And curb appeal is absolutely critical. If they don't like the outside, you can't get them in the door. And there's a lot of almost subliminal visual clues that will indicate whether or not the home seller is taking good care of the house. Is the landscaping neat and tidy? I know in the winter and the off season it's kind of hard to take care of that, but you could give it a haircut, freshen up the mulch beds, fix that broken doorbell, please. Those plastic doorbells that always fall apart in this weather, and correct any peeling paint. Sometimes it's just little stuff like that that can really make the difference. And a great backyard is critical. It's the top picture besides curb appeal that buyers look at. They want to know that if they have a backyard that they can enjoy and appreciate or entertain on, that looks good to them. So that's an important room as well. Once they get in the home, things like if the decks need painting or staining, sometimes that will be an issue when you're getting financing, like if you get FHA or VA financing. Even though the paint might be newer paint, they will always ask for any peeling paint on the outside to be corrected. So it's good to get ahead of that if you can. I know right now with weather going on and stuff like that, it's kind of hard to make that happen, but just be ready for it if it does happen once you get a contract. And in general, buyers can forgive some things, but not flooring. Typically, flooring is a no-go for most buyers, and they will pay exponentially less if they make an offer at all. If your flooring is tired and old looking, things like where you can visibly see carpet with visible traffic areas. I had a home this year, January, beautiful house, great views. They had replaced the carpet in the basement, but not on the main level. And when the house had furniture in there, you couldn't really tell that the carpet was looking pretty tired, but they moved out in the middle of the process before we got a contract. And so it vacated the rooms. So the traffic areas on the carpet jumped out. It also jumps out in pictures in camera. So even though we had virtually staged it to make it look good, when the buyers got in the house, they're like, "Oh, it needs too much work." So sellers came back. They corrected that. We actually put furniture in so it would show well, and boom, right away it sold for full price. So sometimes it's just minor stuff that might just cost a few $1,000s that'll make a difference. My name is Barb Schlinker. I'm the broker owner of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. Barb has the buyer's team and the host of this show, Your Real Estate Voice. And what we're talking about are some important home improvements that will actually add value to your home. When we come back, we're going to talk about a couple of interior rooms that are really important to attract buyers. Kitchens and baths, one of my favorite topics. And if you are thinking of making a move, give us a call at 719-301-3900 or go to barbhasthebuyers.com. Richard?
We're talking about homes and what you need to do to get the very best price out of them. Barb, bathrooms, there's a lot to cover there. What are some of the rules of thumb for bathrooms?
Well, in general, sometimes you can update a bathroom just with light fixtures and plumbing fixtures. But some things that really, really date a bathroom, and this was done a lot in builder grade homes all around the area, these builders, because it was cheaper, is they would put carpet on the master bathroom floors, sometimes on the main bath floors, because it was a little bit cheaper than running vinyl or tile or something like that. But I can tell you it's an automatic turnoff for a buyer. And it doesn't cost very much to fix that. You can go down and actually get these little laminate remnants and fill a space like that. I had a client do that about a year ago, and she sold her house for 50,000 over asking with a massive bidding war. And she had carpet in her master bath. She went down and got some remnants of luxury vinyl, had it installed. It was only a few $100s and it looked amazing. Rules of thumb for bathrooms: it has to be clean. Think timeless in colors. Update the plumbing fixtures. Another thing that's out of style might be overmount sinks, but that doesn't mean change out the sinks solely because it is that way. Sometimes you can use companies that will spray this polyurethane. I had one client that had the clamshell shaped sinks that were pink, which really dated the home. And so all we didn't change the sink. I just had them bring in this service that puts this polyurethane coating on it that was white and it looked fresh and new. And that one had a bidding war that sold for, I think, 75,000 over asking. Kitchen's kind of similar. You want to make sure everything's cleared off the counters. Please put away the dish towels. Put away everything except for the coffee pot. If you have oak colored cabinets and you have some skills, you could paint it. A good color is called Dover white. And you want to use a gel type paint so it looks like it fills in the grain. Update your door hardware. Even I can do that. And I'm kind of scary with the screwdriver in my hand. And in general, if possible, make the color of your appliances match. Like if you have a beige or a bisque color dishwasher and a stainless steel refrigerator and stainless steel stove, it looks wrong. And sometimes you can fix that very inexpensively. Another thing that's not too expensive that updates your flooring would be something called luxury vinyl. It's a good product. It's waterproof. It's not too pricey. It's not as pricey as, say, tile itself. And sometimes updating the kitchens and baths, it doesn't have to be a full remodel. It just has to be enough to make it look fresh and move-in ready. So if you are thinking of making a move, this is what we do. We help people figure out what to do and what not to do to get their house ready for sale. We even bring in an interior designer by a trade, not a real estate agent, that goes room by room by room by room and gives you a checklist on what to do so you know exactly how to approach photo day so that you command the most buyers in your home, which would result in the most money when you sell your home. And we actually have buyers, cash buyers, that if you have some repairs that have to be done and you don't have it in your budget, they will fund the cost of the repairs for you. Those are great deals. So give me a call, 719-301-3900, or go to barbhasthebuyers.com. Richard?
You're listening to Barb Schlinker of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. You can reach Barb at 719-301-3900. When we come back, we're going to be discussing what are the biggest red flags on a home inspection when you're selling a house here in Colorado. All right, knocking them down.
Did it matter? Do I sound better? Just putting up one wall?
It's not drastic, but I can tell the difference.
Okay.
Oh, with
I'm going to get all these walls today.
Yeah, to cover up some windows, I've actually built a temporary wall that has cabinet handles on them, so you
Mhm.
could just pull it down and put it back up at your leisure. I don't know if I'm explaining that right, but
I gotcha.
yeah.
I can, my assistant Wendy, your husband's handy. I'll have him make me some.
Yeah.
You could just take them off.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
And it's also a conversation piece for you. You set it over to the side. Somebody comes in and what's that for? Oh, that's for my radio show that I.
Yeah. They're going to come in here now and go, what happened?
It's so dark.
Black
Uh,
wall.
well, that's the reason that some of those foam panels are of a different color. Uh, it became popular to intermix them with to have kind of a checkered pattern with a lighter color to contrast, and they make them in just about every color under the sun.
Yeah, I'm more
Yeah,
focused on the sound.
yeah.
Things pull right off drywall. Piece of cake.
Pulls the paint off most times, but
Oh, it does.
yeah.
Well, not bad. Looks like just dust. I've had a
Okay,
broom going here.
I'm good. Yeah. I'm sorry. I thought you guys were talking. I had my headphones off and all right. Yeah, I am absolutely good. I'll count us down in three, two, one. Welcome back to Your Real Estate Voice with Barb Schlinker, host of the program, the weekly radio show that informs and educates you on how to buy or sell real estate with Barb Schlinker, the owner of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. Now, Barb, many home sellers fear the home inspection. Many people think that most buyers want to purchase their home as is. But what are some of the biggest red flag issues that you see when people are selling their homes here in Colorado?
Well, Richard, this is a part of the process that's probably the least fun for the sellers. We get their house on the market, we've got pictures, it looks beautiful, and people are looking at their home. Then they finally get a contract. They love us when they get a contract. And then the buyer's agent brings in an inspector and just starts asking for stuff. And so that's when it becomes not fun because I think most of the sellers assume that of course, they're going to take my house exactly as it is with no inspection. And I can tell you, I can only count on maybe one hand that happened in my last couple of years. So it's not that often. The other piece of this that's very strange is that in the state of Colorado, they don't regulate the inspector trade. So there is no license to be an inspector. I could be an inspector, and there's not a handy bone in my body. I can't even run a screwdriver without making people nervous. So, um, the state doesn't really define that trade. They also don't clearly define what a real estate agent is supposed to be doing with regards to an inspection. In most cases, I have to highly encourage the agents to show up for the inspection. And weird things happen. Like the agents have asked me, well, can't you just give the combo to the inspector and let this unlicensed person in your seller's home for 3 hours going all over these systems without any escort? And I'm like, no, that's not happening. Plus, it would affect me insurance wise. Plus, most sellers don't want some random guy that's not licensed to do anything walking through all their systems. Half the time, they don't understand the systems. Agents oftentimes don't want to go to the inspection. I actually had an agent put in writing to me that he thought attending his buyer's inspection was a complete waste of his time. And I'm like, okay, well, you're going to have to go anyway. So I require that they attend. The other thing that they do, which makes it really exciting, is they ask the seller, if the seller is home, to leave their own home. Now, how would you feel about that, Richard?
I'm sorry, I was adjusting my headphones there for a second. You said something, or you guys caught me with making
How would
too
you feel?
much
How would you feel about an agent or an inspector coming in your house, planning to be there for 3 or 4 hours, and say, "Hey, Mr. Seller, will you leave your house, please?" How do you feel about that?
Maybe in the 1900s or the early 1800s, there was enough trust in America that people could do things like that. You didn't even lock your home. Seriously, these days, there's not a chance in Hades that I would tolerate that.
Yeah, so I tell them don't even go there. Don't ask my seller to leave if they want to be there for the inspection. And if they don't want to be there, then we're going to be there for them. We're going to represent them because I've seen things get broken. I've seen some crazy things happen on inspections. Um, Plus, they'll try to negotiate directly for stuff. Sometimes they really don't know the systems. I had one recently that we sent our rep because the seller was out of town, and the agent had an absolute meltdown and called me and told me that she was going to tell the buyer to terminate the contract because we were there on behalf of our seller. And I'm like, well, the seller built the house. He knows more about the house than anybody. So we're there to be a conduit between the inspector and the seller if he has any questions. Anyway, she got over it. Her buyer was like, "Get out of my way. I want this house," which was kind of funny. But that's the kind of stuff that happens. And there are some times when we get this written objection to what the buyers want after the inspection. There are some unreasonable looking demands. Like I recently got one that said, "Oh, the seller, or actually the contractor that did the basement, never pulled a permit. So therefore, we want $25,000 off the price." And the seller's like, no. So we marched down to regional building. We got it taken care of. It only cost the seller maybe 1,500 to 2,000 to take care of that, not 25,000. So sometimes the agents are really unreasonable, and we don't know because we're not talking directly to the buyer if it's an agent demand that's trying to get stuff to justify their fee, or it is a buyer that really, really wants it. And one time I confronted an agent about it, because we'd already been through with another buyer, another inspection. The house was really good shape. And he asked for $1,000 off just because of the brand of a sub electrical panel. And I said, "Really? It's like a 550 sale. Are you really going to blow up the deal over $1,000?" And his answer was, "No, but I have to ask for something." I'm like, "Oh, give me a break." So even this buyer didn't want it. So we see a lot of crazy stuff. There are a lot of different systems that come under scrutiny. Some issues might be repairs that the seller doesn't know about, and some issues are not necessarily legit. As an example, roofs come up all the time. Clean and service the furnace, that comes up all the time. If you have a sewer line or a septic system, those could be very pricey. So I would definitely have those checked out before you put your home on the market. Don't wait until you get a buyer to deal with that, because then you have less time and less opportunity to negotiate the best prices when it comes to dealing with these high ticket issues. I probably have, I'd say at least half of my home sellers have to replace a roof because of hail damage. Sometimes there are electrical issues like the Federal Pacific panel, which is in a lot of homes in this market, often comes under scrutiny where the buyers ask for replacements. And then there's occasional hidden plumbing things that I see. The other thing that's kind of fun are the included appliances. So when you sell a house, what's considered included would be the built-in appliances like the stove, the dishwasher, the built-in microwave, that kind of stuff. Okay. Um, Things like refrigerator, washer, and dryer are considered personal property. So if the seller is going to leave those appliances, many times when they do the inspection, they ask for those things to be fixed. So you have to be really, really clear in your contract as to whether or not, if they do fail, since it is essentially a gift to the buyer that you're going to include it. And I thought we did it on this one transaction in Monument a few months ago, where we put it in the disclosure that the refrigerator is offered as is as a courtesy, right? Well, there's a provision in the contract that says, oh, any system included is supposed to be working at closing, right? Or the seller has to give an equal value or repair or replace it. So a week before closing, the refrigerator crashes, compressor, pause up, done, 12-year-old refrigerator. Okay. So I just told the agent, I said, I'm sorry, it's broken. Have a nice day. And he came back and had a hissy fit about it. He literally called an attorney over this issue. And I'm like, okay, fine, we'll play. So we went up on eBay. We found the exact same used refrigerator in California for $200. So we offered them a $200 credit for a 12-year-old used refrigerator. That didn't work either. They were just, flopping on the floor. The deal's going to blow up. And anyway, so we got a contractor out to give us a bid, and they ended up giving a credit to the buyer. But I learned a lesson from that, which was make sure you put it in the contract that if those things are included, they will not be replaced if they fail during the course of the contract. So that was a hard lesson for me, because I don't know. I was just really surprised that the agent went down that road, that was willing to spend more money on the attorney than what the appliance was worth. Some other things that you have to worry about when these inspectors come through the house, they love their gadgets. They have infrared detectors, carbon monoxide devices that can detect carbon monoxide. I've seen a mold wand. I saw a meter put on a hose on um, an exterior hose to read the water pressure. And what happened was the meter was showing no flow, but the water was flying out of this hose. So he's like, oh, the well's bad. And he actually convinced the buyer to walk away. So there's crazy stuff that takes place. And you have to be aware of some of these things. Infrared is a heat detector that's supposed to detect, they think it detects whether or not there's a plumbing leak, but all it detects is changes in temperature. So, I had a seller that had to spend money in order to verify that there was no plumbing leak, when in fact there was no plumbing leak. So these are the kind of things that we deal with all the time. And you really want somebody that has your back when it comes time to the house inspection, or best case, get a pre-inspection. Then you know if you have any problems like that. My name is Barb Schlinker. I'm the broker owner of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty and the host of this show, Your Real Estate Voice. And what we're talking about are some red flags on a home inspection and the things that you can do to prepare. If you are thinking of making a move, give us a call, 719-301-3900, or go to barbhasthebuyers.com. Richard?
If you're listening, sorry, you're listening to Barb Schlinker of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. And if you are interested in selling your home, you want to call Barb at 719-301-3900. We're talking, Barb, about how to avoid those red flags on a home inspection for sellers. What are some other home inspection issues that come up from time to time?
Well, if you have a well at your house, there are some requirements that the buyer is going to be looking at depending on what kind of loan that they're getting. If they're getting a VA loan, you have to, or FHA, you have to have what's called a water potability test, which is detecting bacteria in the water. And if you don't do the test right, you could introduce bacteria into the sample. And I had that happen recently on one sale where their initial test showed bacteria, but then when we brought in a professional to do the test, it was clean. So also they did the test on a Friday. So if you're taking a sample down to the county, they won't do test on Friday. So the water sat there in his truck all weekend and it came up with a bad result. So you need somebody that has your back and that doesn't just believe what these unlicensed, unqualified inspectors have to say, because I've seen crazy behavior with regards to inspections. And you want to make sure that you hire somebody that's seen it before and that can help you through the process. We also offer something that protects you from red flags, which includes our certified pre-owned home program, where we do a pre-inspection, where the seller can address any repairs that they come across, where the seller can provide a home warranty. That way they know upfront that they have peace of mind that they're going to pass their home inspection and the sale is going to go through just fine. So if you are thinking of making a move, give us a call at 719-301-3900 or go to barbhasthebuyers.com. We will help you get your house ready for sale so you can get top dollar. barbhasthebuyers.com or call us at 719-301-3900. Richard?
You're listening to Barb Schlinker of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. She's the host of the program. And if you are thinking of making a move, call Barb at 719-301-3900 or visit barbhasthebuyers.com. A short break. When we come back, a short break. When we come back, we'll talk about a short break. When we come back, we'll talk about downsizing your home before selling it in this market. Stay tuned for that.
Okay. I'm going to step out for like 2 minutes. The stick-ons are crooked. Replace them.
Yeah. Is that helping? Or too loud? But the cricket, I said, I don't. I thought you couldn't move with that.
Pardon? Hot in there now.
What was it?
He sets the windows. So I think, he said we should put like a board up on the glass, have a board made. Yeah, and then put the stickers on it, on both of them. And they said we do one in the front, we just put some handles on it and take it off.
Oh, nice, okay.
Was they can build me that? Doesn't have to be a heavy plywood, it could be something lighter,
Oh, yeah,
you know?
yeah, you can get it.
Yeah, just the glass. This one I wouldn't have to lift off.
Yeah.
Oh my God, this looks so bad. The lines kind of flow downhill a little bit. Can you call Tom and find out, or maybe just call overhead door and see if they've already done the, if they've already, it's the commercial division, have they already done the work on chalet? Because the buyer would just assume upgrade the door opener if there's time to do that.
Okay.
But he thought it might have already been done.
Okay.
I don't know.
You got it, yeah.
Also Fountain Valley,
Yes, I'm gonna follow up with them.
because he wants to upgrade the water heater. So we're probably gonna slide that one to the 6th.
Okay.
Yeah, we could put this in here. Would work. Need some artwork. Okay, I am ready to fly. You guys ready for Thanksgiving?
I'm running a women's basketball game, so
You are?
Yeah.
That's cool. You're a coach, huh?
no, I'm running sound for women's basketball from Puerto Rico.
You going to Puerto Rico?
No, I have to be here.
But you're doing the sound from Puerto Rico?
Yes.
Interesting. Was it the Air Force Academy or something?
Yes.
What day is the game?
Thanksgiving?
Oh man, you got to work Thanksgiving?
Yeah.
Hmm.
It works out because my ex was really pushing for more time with my kids.
Right.
She's her father passed away a little over a month ago, and so she's using that as leverage. Well, I need them around because I don't have him around anymore. And I'm like, what does one have to do with the other? I lost my father a year and a half ago. And I didn't push for more time. It's supposed to be, according to the court documents, I have even numbered years with my children on holidays. She has the odd numbered years.
Oh,
So I'm supposed to have them on the physical day of the holiday.
right.
But she's throughout the year, even before her father passed, she arranged for a vacation during the 4th of July, and she got part of the day for Easter. She's just found different ways to get
Do
more
her
time
own
with
thing.
them.
Huh?
Yeah. And I'm just like, this time I didn't want to fight, but I did put my foot down for Christmas because
Yeah. How old are the kids?
they're 17 and 23. So I basically told them that they could do whatever they want.
Yeah.
If they want to come over, you know where I am. Here's what we're going to be eating, you know.
Yeah.
But but if you want to spend time with your mother, there she is. I mean,
Yeah.
but she's always trying to leverage stuff like that.
We only have one child. He's 29. And man, the time goes by fast. But um he's gonna be home for Thanksgiving. I hope we get him for Christmas, but I don't know, you know.
Yeah.
But I was talking to the father of one of his friends yesterday. He was asking a real estate question. He knew more about Max's visit this week than I did. He's like, okay, they're doing this on Friday night and this on Saturday night, and they got all these plans. I'm like, okay,
Really?
sounds good.
News to me.
Yeah, as long as he's around, he'll be all right.
Yeah. I mean, and that's the thing. I switch because the day and what we do doesn't matter as much to me
Yeah,
as actually spending time
yeah,
together.
yeah,
I I said, well, we'll have a huge breakfast on Thanksgiving instead, and I'll work that night and it'll be okay, because I
yeah,
would much rather compromise than just flat out have a fight over
yeah,
something stupid. Because, like I said, it really doesn't matter how much time I get or even what exactly we're doing. It
right.
just need some time together. Maybe we form a memory, maybe we don't.
Yeah, that's the key. Just be with them
Yeah,
whenever you can fit it in, you know?
yeah. And I want them to still get to experience other things. Maybe they wanted to spend some time with a friend instead, and I
Right.
get that too.
Yeah, they get their own lives, after a while. So,
Well, my son's in his senior year of high school, and my daughter's 23 years old. So, I mean, I've done all I can, really. I
yeah.
just hope that
Does
they
she is
have
she still
different.
living with you?
She is.
Yeah. Is she working now?
She is here and there, and most of the time she's working for her mom. So
Oh, what kind of work does she do?
most of her paid work is online building of avatars and things like that for Meta.
Oh,
Um,
wow.
that's the goggle um, virtual reality stuff.
Hmm. Pretty neat. She's got artistic ability, huh?
She does.
Huh. I don't have an artistic bone in my body.
She also has a degree as a dog trainer that she's never really pursued
She
to
has a
make money
degree
off
in it,
of.
really?
Yeah, she
Oh.
went down to a school uh, just north of Austin,
Hmm.
and she's actually a dog trainer. She's certified in um, what's the name of the place? It Star uh, it's not Star Mart, it's Star I can't think of it.
We don't have a dog right now, but we want one. You know. It's hard if you have to travel. You have to find
Oh, absolutely.
somebody that wants to take care of them. So we're gonna go up to pick up Max at Denver Airport tonight. And we went to see my sister-in-law had a conference at the Gaylord up there by the DIA. I've
Mhm.
never been in there. It was beautiful. Wow, I was quite stunned. And we ended up having dinner at they have this kind of English pub thing, which I'm not a English food person, but right next to it, they had this sports bar with this massive wall. I can't even, I don't, it's bigger, like 4 times bigger than a movie theater, of just nothing but TV screens and sports and all that. And I'm like, dang, that is cool. I want to go in there and have a drink. So it was like Las Vegas or something.
Sounds fun.
Yeah. So I'm gonna
You
try
be
and
careful tonight because it is supposed to snow.
yeah, it's supposed to start late, so it'll depend. I mean, if he's hungry, we'll pop in there and have some kind of appetizer or something. But if he's not, we'll just come home. So he's on East Coast time now, so he may not be.
I'm good to go. David's good to go. Thank you. I had a little bit, we got a kind of a health thing going on at home.
Yeah,
I need to check on. So
no
um,
worries.
we're good to go here. I'll count us down in 3, 2, 1. Welcome back to Your Real Estate Voice with Barb Schlinker. She's the host of the program, and this is the weekly radio show that informs and educates you on how to buy or sell real estate, and it does it with Barb Schlinker, the owner of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. Now, Barb, when people sell homes, they typically try to pick up and clean up so that it looks good when they're really. Wait, I got a typo there. Let's do that again. 3, 2, 1. Now, Barb, when people sell homes, they typically try to pick up and clean up so that it looks really good when they're ready to sell the home. What are some steps to help people prepare their home for sale and to move to a smaller home? That downsizing list.
Well, Richard, it starts with you kind of, first of all, have to know the size of your destination and know how much you have to kind of downsize. I just had a client that moved from a rather large house, over 3,000 square feet, a ranch with a basement, to a little condo. And so it was quite a process. We started in July, and then that home will close and finalize on Monday. So it was quite a change for them to, okay, I don't need this, I don't need that. But when you're showing a home, when you put a home on the market, it's not the same way as the way you live. Most people don't have their house perfectly picked up all the time. If they do, my hat's off to them. Great. It's hard to keep a home that way. Just normal day-to-day stuff. You come home, you put stuff on the kitchen counter. Usually there's more stuff on the counters than the way you would present it for sale. And over time, things accumulate, right? I remember when I first moved into our house, I'm like, oh, I'm never going to have enough stuff to fill this kitchen. Well, I did. Okay. And then we recently did some updating. And so we had to move everything downstairs and we moved back upstairs, but a lot of the stuff we moved downstairs has not made it back up yet. And obviously, I don't need it. So I think that happens over time that people just pick up, accumulate things, and it's things that I may not need or I may not want, or I might want to donate, or I might want to sell even. And I think in general, a lot of people surround themselves with things that make them feel comfortable. But when it comes to putting a home on the market, it's a whole different set of eyes, and it's a whole different approach as to how you're going to put your house on the market. And we usually bring in an interior designer by trade to help you get ready for that. And the reason for that is that not you don't live the same way that you would put your house or present your home to the market. As an example, in the kitchen, everything should be off the kitchen counter The only exception might be the coffee pot, right? No throw rugs on the floor, no dish towels hanging from the stove. Although in normal day-to-day life, you do have stuff on the counter and you do have throw rugs on the floor and you do have dish towels hanging around. So for photo day is a different day than living in the home if you're selling the home, living in the home. But I've had some people, when they get their set of instructions from our designer, they kind of push back and go, no, I'm leaving that. I'm sorry. I'm not going to remove that. And that's fine. You don't have to. We can work around this stuff. Plus, we can pretty much Photoshop any picture to make it look good. So how do you tell if a home actually has clutter? If you live like that, I will say from my own experience, my own house, I don't notice it. Like I didn't think I had a cluttered home. And back in 2013, 2013, when we had that fire, we were on pre-evacuation. So I'm like, oh, okay. Well, I heard somewhere that you're supposed to go around, take a picture of all your stuff for the insurance purposes. If it does burn down, gather up what you really, really can't live without and box that up. So it wasn't very much. It really wasn't. It wasn't the clothes. It was just a few pieces of paper and pictures, and that was about it. So um, when I took pictures afterwards, after the pre-evacuation, I went back and took a look at those photos. And what shocked me was that, oh my gosh, there's a bunch of clutter here that I never noticed, even though I live in this home every single day. So the photos are really going to speak back at you. It's almost like it jumps off the page at you. So that's the first step I would take, is to just take photos of your home, be honest and open, bring them up if you can on a larger screen or computer and go, oh, okay, would a buyer want to come in and look at my house like that? Because we know the very first showing is online. So if the buyers don't like the pictures, they won't come and see your house. It's just that simple. So we have to get that right. Even though the buyers are not buying your stuff, they're not buying your furniture, they have to be able to envision themselves living in the home, which means having a more minimal, clutter-free type of appearance. Now, an example you could use would be going to take a look at new construction models. Those are pretty much free of clutter, but they look pretty. There's enough decorating to make it look attractive, but it also doesn't look empty either. It looks like somebody lives there, but it's just very nicely done. And they do this because they know that buyers cannot visualize living in a home that might be finished, but it's got no furniture, or it might be finished at the framing stage. It's very hard for a lot of buyers. I know from my own showing experience to visualize what that room's going to look like looking at a bunch of boards, before they put the drywall up. So that's why they put up models, and these models are well furnished, they're neutral, they lack clutter, and that's how they get buyers to fall in love and basically sign the contract to purchase a brand new home. Even though they know when buyers buy a brand new home, they're going to have to put in landscaping and window coverings and spend all this extra money besides the cost of the house. So the first steps would be, when you declutter, to take it one room at a time. And you work on these rooms. Curb appeal, number one, give your bushes a haircut, freshen up the mulch beds, fix that doorbell, freshen up the doormat. If you can, paint the door if it needs it. The backyard, the view, make sure it's neat and tidy back there. The living room is a very, very important room. It comes ahead of the kitchen. So make sure the living room is clutter-free. The flooring looks good. There's no blankets laying around. There's just no extra stuff. Same thing with the kitchen. Everything off the counters except for the coffee pot. Make sure everything looks in good condition and it matches. Master bathroom's another critical room. It has to look fresh and clean and inviting, and the same with the master bedroom. Now, places you don't need to worry about so much would be like your garage. There are one or two home sellers that have the amazing, immaculate, refinished garage with all this organized shelving, which is great. But most people don't live that way. They have stuff in their garage, and garages don't photograph well. So we're not going to take those photos unless they make the home look more valuable. So what we do is we use that space as kind of our staging, where you can put your boxes, where you're going to put what you're going to pack out. Don't worry about it because we're not going to photograph that. We're also not going to photograph an unfinished basement unless it's fully empty. We're not going to photograph the inside of closets unless they're empty because they just don't photograph well. And you can actually create 3 piles. The piles are basically keep, donate, and throw it away. And you have to think, do I really need this? As far as clothes are concerned, do I really wear this? Or do I really use this product? That's what you have to think through and just be willing to let it go. Somebody else may appreciate it, so it's okay to donate it. Find out if your kids want used furniture. That's very hard to get rid of. I will tell you that. And if on stuff that you absolutely have to have that's still kind of, overflowing in your home, consider renting a storage space to put those things away that you know for sure that you're going to take with you when you move to your next home. Most people fill their spaces with too much furniture, too large of furniture, or too many knickknacks or just stuff, right? And it's challenging to get rid of furniture. I've seen some beautiful, very expensive high-end furniture where sellers are trying to get rid of it, and they're shocked that nobody wants to pay them anywhere near what it's worth. And I'm not surprised because I see it all the time. Sometimes you can sell some of those pieces on consignment or with the estate sellers, and what they do is they come and take it away. They don't actually have it in your house. So it's an option, but those estate sellers will take a good chunk of your profit. So you have to think twice about doing that. But I've had somebody do it recently that had a bunch of kind of higher end antiques, and they sold those on consignment and did quite well. But there might be, friends, family, church members that need things like this. So consider that as well. There's also other charitable organizations that you could give up some of your stuff. So if you are thinking of making a move, give us a call. My name is Barb Schlinker. I'm the broker owner of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. Barb has the buyer's team. And we're talking about how do you declutter to get your house ready for sale. And then we're going to talk about a few tips on how to do that when we come back. If you are thinking of making a move and you would like an in-home consultation on this very topic, give us a call at 719-301-3900 or go to barbhasthebuyers.com. Richard?
We're at 11 now. Do you want me to go back to the main part of it, or should I pivot over to the hot new listings?
Let's see.
I'll stop my clock here.
Yeah, this is longer. I'm babbled on too much.
No,
Uh,
I don't. No. I mean, this happens from time to time, and I don't ever, swear to God, Barb, I don't ever think that it happens because you babble on. It's just that you've got so much content in there, and you and I are kindred spirits. I have the same problem with my show. I have so much I'm trying to put in, and sometimes it fits, and sometimes it doesn't. So your problem is
I think
prepared and have too much
why
stuff.
don't you ask the question, which is, some other tips. And I would say, you know what? We have a whole team that will help you do that. So if you are thinking of moving and downsizing, give us a call and then we'll stop.
Or do you have a report that people can download?
Oh, that's a good idea. Hang on. Good idea, DJ.
See?
A broken clock is right twice a day.
All right. Okay. Let's do that.
All right. I'll count us down. Again, 3, 2, 1. Whoops. 3, 2, 1. Barb, we're talking about the best ways to get a house ready for sale by decluttering. Tell us a little bit more about that.
Well, Richard, we do this for folks all the time. We give them a free in-home consultation on what to do, what not to do to get their house ready for sale. But if you want to get information about it, you can actually go to my website, barbhasthebuyers.com, and download your free report called Downsizing, How to Sell the Place You Call Home. And that will give you lots of good tips on what to do and the steps to take to get yourself ready to sell your home. Just call us at 719-301-3900 or go to barbhasthebuyers.com. Richard?
You're listening to Barb Schlinker, host of the program, and she's with Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. You've got some hot new listings, Barb. Tell us about them.
Absolutely. So I have a beautiful fiveplex down close to Fort Carson. It's a really good cash flow machine. Actually, the home was built in 2000, so it's a good building. We have a couple of properties that are now owned by the Secretary of Veterans Affairs. One nice home in Fountain that's priced at $338,500, and I have another one that's priced at $385,000. I also have a beautiful home with a main level master in Fountain, over 2,800 square feet in the low threes. I have a fantastic home on Crandall Drive, 2-story with a finished basement in the low fours. A beautiful home on Splendid, close to Doherty High School, priced at $409,999. And coming soon, a fantastic home in Briargate that's priced in the upper fours. So if you are thinking of making a move, we also have a beautiful house on Sunbird Hills. This home is spectacular with great views and a 5-car garage, and a beautiful home on Delmonico in Rock Rimmon in the low sevens, beautiful views on almost an acre. Plus we have some gorgeous lots. So give us a call, 719-301-3900 or go to barbhasthebuyers.com. Richard?
You've been listening to Your Real Estate Voice. It airs every Saturday, 11 o'clock, right after Cudlow. And if you're thinking of making a move, call Barb at 719-301-3900 or visit barbhasthebuyers.com. And remember, you can see replays of the entire show on Barb's YouTube channel, Barb Has the Buyers, or listen on podcasts on all of the popular platforms like Apple, iHeartRadio, as well as others. Thanks for listening this week. To reach out to Barb, that number is 719-301-3900. Barb, you have a great weekend and a great week.
Thank you. You as well. Have a great weekend.